Hi boys and girls, it's Mr. Yates, and in this video we're going to be checking the answers for Tuesday, May 5th spiral math. So we're going to go ahead and get started right away. Let's take a look at number one. First of all, I have my answer on this side, I'm going to work on this side, and I'm ready to go. What is the correct way to write the product using an exponent? I'm just going to write here the product using an exponent is, and the best way to do that is I have 10 times 10 times 10, so I am taking 10 to the third power because I'm multiplying 10 times 10 times 10. You didn't have to actually write the product, what that's multiplied, 10 times 10 times 10, just using the exponent. So that's what I really want to see right there, is that little 3 exponent on your product. Great job. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on now to number 2. What is a missing value? On this one, I can either write the missing value is, or I can just write it as 120 millimeters equals blank centimeters. Now, one thing that I like to do when I do this is I just like to remember my King Henry died unexpectedly drinking. Oh boy, I made a copy right here. I didn't write it all the way out. So I'm going to try again. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. Once I go through all that sentence, I can tell that I've got all the letters in there. And my unit of measurement is going to be meters. And it looks like what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be going from millimeters. So I have my millimeters right here. And I'm going to be moving from millimeters. So let's see, my millimeters are right here. That M stands for milli, for millimeters. So what I'll do is I'll start at millimeters, and I'm going to be going over to C right next door for centimeters. And, oh, let me just write down. All right. So what I'll be doing is I'll be going from millimeters to centimeters. And it looks like all I'm going to be doing is just one jump to the left. So that means all I'm doing is going to move the decimal, and I'll write it right here. I'll put the decimal at the end. I don't need to annex any zeros because I'm moving to the left, and I'm going to move to the left one jump. So now 120 millimeters becomes 12 centimeters. And I don't need a decimal, and I don't need a zero after that. Now let's go on down to number 3. What is the volume of the prism formed by the luggage bag? So I can make my answer sense. Let me just pull up my question one more time. I could say the volume, and I could say the luggage bag if I wanted to. The volume, keyword here is volume, of the luggage bag is, and I want to look and see what my unit of measurement is here. And I notice that is in inches. And when I use volume, I'm going to use cubic inches. So I'm going to leave a space here for my cubic inches, and then I'm going to write inch with an abbreviation. And then I'm going to put a little 3, which stands for cubic inches, because that's what we use for volume. Now what I'll do is I'll go and remember my volume expression. My volume expression is volume equals length times width times height. So let me see if I've got all those measurements in here. Yeah, it looks like I've got my length right here. And that looks like it's 22 inches. So I'll put that right here for 22 inches. My width front to back is going to be here 10 inches. And my height, top and bottom, is 30 inches. So I've got my length, my width, and my height. What I'm going to do, boys and girls, is I can multiply it either way. I'll start with 22 times 10. That is pretty easy mental math. I can just take 22 and then add a 0 to it. So I get 220. Then I'm going to multiply that by 30, which is a little bit trickier for me to do in my head easily. So I want to make sure, or accurately too. So I want to make sure I just do it correctly. 220 times 0, 0, 0. So I have 3 zeros. I'm going to drop another 0 in the ones place, and then I'm going to have 0 times 3 is 0, 2 times 3 is 6, 2 times 3 is 6 again. Then what I'll do is I'll add them up. 0, 0, 6, 6. I'll add a comma. So now I know my volume of my luggage bag is 6,600 cubic inches. All right, we'll go on down now to our next one. More volume. What is the volume of the cube shown below in inches? Let me take a look at that. First of all, let me go ahead and write my answer sentence. The volume of the cube is, and this time they even tell you, they even say right up there, what is the volume in cubic inches? So it's reminds me that I need to use inches again, like we did before, with the little exponent 3, which stands for cubic inches. Now, when I first looked at this, I was like, uh-oh, they've only got one measurement here. I need 3 measurements because I need to have length times width times height. But before I was ready to say, hey, I made another typo on this, I realized that it's not a typo. I only need the one measurement here because it's a cube. And cubes, all the sides, all the edges here are the same. So down here in the bottom is the same as up on top. Down here on the bottom is the same as what's on the side. Down here on the bottom is the same as any one of these measurements. They're all 8 inches. And that's going to help me to find the volume of this cube. Now, the first one I see here is 8 inches, and I know that that's the length because it's going from side to side. So I'll put length equals 8. Now, the width is front to back. And when I do the width from front to back, I notice that since it's a cube, it's going to be the same length. It doesn't look like the same length on the paper here, but that's because it's 3-dimensional and it's kind of hard to show. But since I know it is a cube, I know that the length and the width are going to be exactly the same. The width is also going to be 8 inches. And because it is a cube, I also know that the height is going to be exactly the same. Even though it kind of eyeballing it looks different, like I said, it's a 3-dimensional shape shown on a piece of paper flat. So it's going to be looking a little different. But because I know it's a cube, I know that it's going to be 8 inches for the height. And now that I've got all those 3 measurements, I can go ahead and find the volume of the cube. 8 times 8 is 64. And then I'll go ahead and multiply by the height, which is another 8. And then I get 64 times 8, 32. 4 times 8 is 48, plus 3 is 51. So the height, the volume of the cube in cubic inches is 512 cubic inches. All right, we're going to go on now to number 5. I'll turn my page over. And let's take a look at number 5. A bottle of juice contains 2 5/10 liters, or 2.5 liters of juice. How many milliliters of juice does the bottle contain? So let me make my answer sentence. The bottle, and I could say the bottle contains, and I'm working in milliliters now, so I'll go ahead and put blank, lowercase m, capital L, that's how we abbreviate milliliters. Milliliters of juice. Make sure you have the words bottle, contains, milliliters, juice in your answer sentence. Now go ahead and figure out how to turn 2 5/10 liters into milliliters. So So what I'll do is I'll look again. I want to do my King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. King Henry died unexpectedly drinking chocolate milk. I want to make sure I have all the letters there. My unit of measurement is liters, and that's going to go right here where it says U. M for milliliters is going to mean that we're going to be going down here to the very end of the very smallest. And we're going to be moving from liters to milliliters. So we're going to be going from left to right. And I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 jumps to get from liters to milliliters. So that means I'm going to move my decimal 3 spaces to the right. So I'll go ahead and rewrite my decimal down here. I'm going to go ahead and annex a few zeros because it'll help me to move my decimal a lot easier. And I'll go from left to right. 1, 2, 3. Now I've got, instead of 2 5/10 liters, I've got 2,500 milliliters. And it's important to use a comma here instead of a decimal. And I'll go ahead and write that into my answer sentence. The bottle contains 2,500 milliliters of juice. All right, we're going to go ahead and move on down to number 6. Oh, Hannah's little finger. I think we've done this one a couple times before in the past. Hannah's little finger is 1 45/100 centimeters wide. What is the width of her little finger to the nearest 1/10 of a centimeter? So I'll go ahead here and I'll put, let's see, the width of her little finger is the width of her little finger rounded. If you said all this is an answer sentence, awesome. The width of her little finger rounded to the nearest 1/10 of a, and I want to make sure what my unit of measurement is. It's centimeters, so I'll put that in here. Nearest 1/10 of a centimeter is blank, and I'll put centimeter in here because we are going to be using that as our measurement. And I'm going to look at 1 45/100. The problem asks me to go ahead and round it to the nearest 10th. So my 10th place is right here. So what I'll do is I'll look from my 10th place over to my 100th place. The 100th place is 5. 5 or more, raise the score. That means that I'm going to round up the 1 4/10 to 1 5/10. So the width of her little finger rounded to the nearest 1/10 of a centimeter is 1 5/10 centimeters. Let's go and we'll take a look now at number 7. On number 7, it's saying each lane in a swimming pool is 8 feet wide, or I'm sorry, 8 feet 2 inches wide. What is the width of each lane in inches? So what I need to do is make my answer sentence. The width of each lane is blank inches. And I'll put a period at the end there. Now, one thing I notice is that I've already got some inches. I know that the pool is 8 feet and 2 inches. So I don't have to convert this part into 2 inches. It's already there. But I need to convert this 8 feet into inches and then add it to the other inches that I have right here. So that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and I'll convert my 8 feet equals blank inches. Well, I do know that when I go from a bigger unit of measurement to a smaller unit of measurement, I'm going to be multiplying. And I'm going to be multiplying by the number of inches in 1 foot. I know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So what I'll do is I'll multiply my 8 feet and multiply it by 12 inches. That's going to get me 96 inches that are in 8 feet. Now, the one thing I don't want to forget is this 2 inches right here. I want to add those 2 inches in to my 96 inches right here so that I am then getting the total number of inches in the width of a lane. So I'll add 96 and 2, and that gives me 98, which is the total number of inches. So now in my answer sentence, I'll be writing the width of each lane is 98 inches. making sure that you use the word width, lane, and inches in your answer sentence, boys and girls. Great. We have one more to do. And we're going to be doing some more rounding. A mechanic orders a part that weighs 13 and 194 thousandths pounds. What is the weight of the pound rounded to the nearest? Oops, let me try that again. What is the weight of the part rounded to the nearest pound? So I'll write on an answer sentence. The weight of the part to the nearest, I'm just going to have enough room on my paper, yay, to the nearest pound is, and I'll go ahead and put here, and I'll put pounds or LBS as my abbreviation right here, blank pounds. Let me go and take a look at the pounds that I have in the story. It says I have 13 and 194 thousandths pounds. I'm going to be rounding that to the nearest pound. The nearest pound is always the ones place, the nearest whole number. So what I'll do is I'll take a look at the decimal place tenths, which is right next to my whole number. It's only 1/10. So 4 or less, let it rest. That means that I'm not going to change the 3 here at all. I'm just going to get rid of the 1 and 94 hundredths, or I'm sorry, the 194 thousandths. I'm going to cross that out and just use a 13. I don't even need the decimal. So the weight of the part to the nearest pound is 13 pounds. All right, boys and girls, we've got everything done for the spiral math for today. Checking. I want you to go ahead now and just fill out the survey. Let me know how you did. If you have any questions, make sure you email me. And thank you for checking your work with me. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.